Now, the high school football picks of the week.
Already halfway through the high school football season, here we go in the Summit Athletic Conference where the Carroll Chargers visit the Snyder Panthers. Still at Spooler Stadium until that new stadium gets built over at Snyder. Well, this one we expected to be perhaps a battle for the top spot in the Summit Athletic Conference, but the two teams come in with neither above 500. The Snyder Panthers are 2-2. The Carroll Chargers 1-3. Carroll, losers to Dwenger last week, seriously need a bounce back, but the one deficiency in the Carroll offense is they just have not run the football. They're going to figure out a way to chunk up some yards on the ground. They're terrific passing it, with Gabe Preisinger throwing it around to a multitude of receivers, including Jaden Van Pelt, who is such a big play threat. But the Snyder defense, which was very porous against the run in their first couple of games, may not have to worry too much about the Carroll rushing attack. The big question here is how much can Snyder run it against that Carroll defense? Ultimately, I think this is a somewhat defensive struggle, but I think Carroll's aerial attack will make enough plays that the Chargers will win it over the Panthers 27-17.
I probably look like a prize idiot and talk like one, too.
Northside can be explosive. Bishop Luers just trying to get a consistent offense. Luers finally got a victory last week against Southside, and now they will host the Northside Legends. I think it's too much Northside in this one. They'll beat Bishop Luers 27-21.
That idea is just the worst.
What a wild one last week at Homestead, as the Northrop Bruins and the Homestead Spartans locked up in a classic, eventually won by the Homestead Spartans in overtime. After suffering their first loss, Northrop looks to bounce back with a road trip to Zollner Stadium to take on the Concordia Cadets. I think it's the perfect medicine for Northrop to feel good again. Northrop with a big win over the Cadets, 48-14.
You must think I'm dumb, huh?
Do you really want me to answer that?
The Wayne Generals have really struggled to get things on the right track this year, and they'll host the Southside Archers. I think Southside will get a win on the short road trip to Wayne, 19-13.
You are not a man. You are a big fat joke.
We really thought that the Homestead Spartans offense was going to struggle without Michael White. It hasn't. Homestead was impressive in a win over Northrop last week, but now they take on the stingy defense of the Bishop Dwenger Saints. This might be the best game in the Summit Athletic Conference, with a building Homestead squad against a stubborn Bishop Dwenger Saints team. How about that 52-yard field goal last week for Lucas Wynn of Bishop Dwenger to give them the victory over Carroll? Will this one come down to a field goal? I don't think so. I think Dwenger is going to respond and beat Homestead rather handily. Give the Saints a 30-13 win.
You don't know squat, you stupid idiot!
The DeKalb Barons almost pulled off the upset of the year in the NE8 last week against the East Noble Knights. Familiarity might have been the key contributor, but now they go to Columbia City, who has to be a little bit angry after a loss to Huntington North a week ago. I think Columbia City, with that anger after losing to a team that was previously winless, will respond and defeat the DeKalb Barons 23-21.
Why don't you stop talking for a while?
Maybe sit the next couple plays out.
The Huntington North Vikings have a real good shot at making it 2 in a row when they take the trip to Decatur to play the Belmont Braves. And I think Huntington North wins it 41-7.
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid?
The showdown of the NE8. In fact, it's a showdown in Class 4A as two top 5 teams do battle in Kendallville. The Leo Lions and the East Noble Knights. These two teams have had some terrific battles over the years. In fact, they've played both in the regular season and the postseason for 4 straight seasons. The big question is who stops the run? Can Riley Biddle throw it? And can Nate Foster run it? Well, we already know they can, but will they be able to do it on Friday night against defenses that will key on them? Freshman Austin Phillips has been terrific in the backfield for East Noble, taking over for the injured Ian Ramey. And Foster, he ran for 210 yards on just 15 carries last week. Look, this is usually a one-score game, and I think it's got the potential to be a very close one this time around. But I think East Noble gets the benefit of a late score and wins it over Leo 27-17.
Is he all there, like mentally?
I think so. He's just an odd guy.
Two teams that really need a win when Norwell visits New Haven. Norwell got their victory last week. The Bulldogs still looking to get a win. Can New Haven get their first victory against the Knights? No. I've got Norwell winning it 29-27.
Let's say the average person uses 10% of their brain. How much do you use? 1.5%.
Now on to the ACAC. where so far it is still the Adams Central Athletic Conference. Starting off, we've got Bluffton at Jay County. Jay County learned about Adams Central last week, falling to the Flying Jets 40-0. Meanwhile, Bluffton's Axton Best was almost perfect against Woodland, going 13 of 15 with 4 touchdowns. After Jay County gave up 269 yards on the ground last week to Adams Central, I think Bluffton rolls over the Patriots and wins it 40-7.
I thought I told you to get lost.
South Adams had an impressive victory last week, 42-7 over Heritage. Now the Starfires will host the Blackhawk Christian Braves, and it won't be an issue for South Adams, with quarterback Titus Lehman coming off a 352-yard passing performance with 5 touchdowns last week and another 60 yards running on the ground. He'll lead that South Adams offense to a convincing 55-6 win.
Anybody care what this guy thinks?
No!
Adams Central is back home in Monroe. They will host the Heritage Patriots, stung by South Adams last week, but I think Adams Central just too much for Heritage. For the second week in a row, it's the Flying Jets over the Patriots. After beating Jay County last week, it's Heritage this time around, 35-13.
You know, I didn't think this could get any worse, but haha, it has.
Finally, it could be a pretty competitive game when Woodland travels to Penedo to take on Southern Wells. I'll give Woodland a road win, 20-19.
Look at this idiot. One ball and no brains.
In the NECC, the Central Noble Cougars will be at Fremont. And I think Fremont gets a win in back-to-back years. They won last year by a point. Give them another 1-point win Friday, 20-19 over Central Noble.
You're a smart man.
Churubusco might be the most improved if we had to vote for one in Northeast Indiana. Churubusco had an impressive win over Eastside last week. Prairie Heights just looking for a win. I'll give Churubusco a 39-12 win over Prairie Heights.
You are one pathetic loser.
Even in that loss to Churubusco, Eastside's Job Richmond was terrific. 30 carries, 240 yards on the ground. But that wasn't enough. But I think it will be this week. I think you'll get a lot of Richmond and an Eastside win. Over Garrett, 27-20.
Just when I think you've said the stupidest thing ever, you keep talking.
The Lakeland Lakers haven't shown the explosive offense that they've had the last couple of years. They'll travel to Angola to take on the Hornets, and I think the Angola defense will be enough as Angola prevails 28-14.
Do you know how crazy that sounds?
A good battle just outside of Goshen, Indiana, with West Noble on the short trip to Fairfield. West Noble has been fantastic the last 2 or 3 years, and it's created a winning culture. It's also a team that I feel is improving after being hit by graduation. Last week, they beat Angola 28-14. This week, they're going to beat Fairfield. West Noble 27, Falcons 22.
The simplest way to put it, I have problems.
And those are your high school football picks of the week. Now,